Things are going to start happening to me now.
You've done all the reading. You're a scholar, you're a professor. You've done all the reading. You've done the intellectual heavy lifting.
More or less, eat shit and die.
You wouldn't know a fact if it begged you all night long.
Want to give the wrong impression, because I am very high.
Ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash.
Yeah. Care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you. That was...
And welcome everybody to the Libertarian Podcast Review. We're going to do a little bit of, what are we going to do here? We're going to do a little bit of grifting, I guess. Give you a little update on the Nick stuff and maybe give you an idea about how my little bit of a vacation went. Hope everybody is doing fine and dandy. I am Tyler Yonke. I'm a family law attorney in California. Letting that go there. And we're going to talk a little bit of stuff. Eddie Grimm's in there. Hey, what's not? Hey, say what now? Is also howdy, Tyler. I hope everyone's doing fine. Let me just tell you real quick. So I took off a week. We went Saturday to Saturday. We flew back to Charleston, South Carolina. And hang on, I think we need to, is that better? Charleston, South Carolina for half the week, and then for a wedding, and then we went over to Nashville, saw Andy, and crazy time over there. Little did I know that the CMA Fest was happening, which just made Nashville proper the craziest place ever, more so than normal, but we had a good time. We had a good time with the kids. I will say this, someone who lives in California, and we see way too much homeless stuff going on, that I could maybe count on both of my hands the week I was gone in Charleston, which we were out in the Mount Pleasant, which was a nice little place across the bay there, and then we come over and we're downtown as well. Between there and Nashville, on my hands, the homeless, whereas you can just throw a rock probably and hit them out here. So crazy stuff. Lincoln says, "Morning, Tyler. Hope you had a good vacation." I did. Nicholas, I've been there during CMA Fest before. I had a great time. It was good. So, but we are more country folk as far as out in the country. Charleston was not too busy. It's a fantastic town. We were right out near the beach on the northern part there of that city, so across from Fort Sumter, and it was pleasant. It was a little bit more out in the nowhere. It wasn't. There were people around, and then you go into, and we're downtown Nashville, the crazy time. So we have 3 kids with us. We had 4 at the other place with my son and his girlfriend as well, and then they flew back. So then we had the other 3 kids. One's 21, one's 19, one's 17. So, but they wanted to go to some of these bars and do these things, and it was almost difficult. Now I have good kids, so they weren't out doing too much, but we had a good time. They bought boots, everything. I'm loving these early afternoon streams, Tyler. I have nothing better to do than hang out. Yeah, I decided to do this. I mean, once again, I'm leaving Thursday, so I usually do a Friday show, but I've now got to go up to my son's graduation. He's graduating from nursing school this weekend. So now we're going to take the family and go up there. And how do I have to do that? Well, we're driving up because we've got to take some stuff for this party and stuff we're doing. So my wife and I are driving with mother-in-law. She's great, no problem there. Our 17-year-old son. And then my daughter's going up with her mom because of my son. And then my other daughter, we're flying her up to Portland, and then she's driving across to Walla Walla with my son. And then we're driving. It's a mess. And I'm just hoping to make enough money to make it through this week again. I had to work a little bit on the vacation. Okay, so why are we here? Why are we going to talk about Nick stuff? And I put in the thing, bad lawyering, right? And you've got some of this drama that's taking place. This blows me away. This is why I'm glad I'm not friends with any of these LawTube people, any of these prominent attorney pundits. And by the way, we got a lot of great views. This is also why I'm doing it. A lot of great views on the 3 Nick Rekieta shows I've done. And I haven't been able to go through all the comments. I probably should curate them so I can be able to get this better. But I had one person in there saying, hey, Barnes, he's won some big cases. What have you done? And it's like, I don't know. I've been doing this for multiple years. I have my own law practice. I defend people. I don't do that kind of attorney work that he does. But what kind of attorney work does he do? I don't know. We're going to talk about some of that here. And it's disturbing that, and when I put bad lawyering, I'm talking about Nick himself and Robert Barnes and Viva Fry. A lot of these people don't actually do attorney stuff. Right? I'm in the mix every day. And that was big part of my analysis here of Robert Barnes specifically, which is setting expectations. It's very easy for him to go on TV and to make all kinds of pronouncements about what's going to happen and be wrong, and then they move on. He's Jim Cramer. He's Jim Cramer of legal, right? And you don't have to, it's because you could just put out your what is it going to be? But he's acting more of a friend to Nick here. So then your concern is, what kind of advice are you giving that people are going to perhaps follow and be struck in? And I think that actually, by the way, and I'm going to read a news article here where I think he's mishandled, and I've pointed that out specifically on some cases. What I do with mine, and I hope you do, and it's what I'm family law, right? And so that's kind of the things here. What I'm looking to do is set expectations always set expectations so these people understand what they're going into, and then the likelihood, maybe you make a deal, maybe you don't, but if you don't understand those, or your attorney's not giving you the correct expectations, what's it going to be for them? They're going to move on to another case, and then here we go. There's a girl that graduated. She was the valedictorian of our class, and she's on billboards, okay, here in our town. I'm not a big fan of her necessarily, but she's doing personal injury, okay, and she has a factory. As a matter of fact, my law partner has gone up against her in some things, and he's just like, what is going on here? And the reason I say that is because it's a mill. Okay, you bring people in, you advertise a lot, and then you get clients in, and then you kind of just run them through, and it's kind of shitty. And those are the kind of people that have to advertise all the time. You see them on the billboards, you have to advertise. Why? Because you're not getting word of mouth clientele in. I don't advertise. He doesn't. My law partner does. We don't advertise at all, and we're busy as can be. I turned someone down this morning because I just don't have the time for that. And the reason, because I'm going on vacation, really. But the reason being is, when they're done with their case, they're going to assess whether they're going to send someone over to you or not, or whether they're going to write a good review. And that assessment is usually about, did I get a result, and was my money well spent? Those are my two things, okay? I also tell clients, especially with family law, that a lot of it depends on your relationship. You got to feel comfortable with the person. You've given me a lot of details, and sometimes you need to feel comfortable. That's only one little tiny aspect of choosing an attorney. But the main point there is, when they're done, did they feel like their money was well spent, and did they get the outcome that they were told that they could get? When they're coming into me, if I'm telling them, here's what's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, they're going to feel like their money was not well spent, okay? And they're going to feel like they were bamboozled, or that you were not a good attorney. So some of that is really covering your ass in a way, but I try to do it in a sense that when the outcome happens and it's in line with what I told them, there you go. That's what it is. So the Robert Barnes part of the stuff here is selling goods, that are never going to happen with this. We've brought through the warrant and all the stuff with Nick Rekieta, and with that you can understand that. Saying, are you talking about clients or puppies? Yes, clients are and can be puppies in and oftentimes. Okay, so let's just play some stuff. Nick Rekieta is coming back on here, and he's actually starting to do some streams. He did this one with, and I'm just going to play some quick clips, but he did this one with Ethan Ralph, who's kind of a disturbing person. And by the way, this is when I stopped just paying attention to Nick in general, was when he starts doing streams about this or not. He had this whole defamation lawsuit, okay, against him, and he's continually saying the same things that he is being accused of defaming. He goes in on his streams and talks about it. Now, if this is the kind of stuff he's doing in his own life, he can't get his shit together. Is this the kind of person you want giving you advice as well? Well, lucky for you, Nick's not really a practicing attorney, and if he is, he's only doing it for the Imholt chick that he's banging anyway, so you don't really need to worry about it. But if you're taking his advice on anything, you start to have to wonder.
I'm coming after one person and it's so gay. Oh, no. Believe me, I'm not coming after anybody. I made fun of Legal Mindset because he's a retard, but that's his own problem. I'm not even talking about him in this scenario at all.
No, I know.
I literally just made fun of him because he's retarded. He acts like this super Chad ladies man as he looks off to the boys' room with one eye, the girls' room with one eye, and limps between them because he can't decide which one to go to. I'll make fun of him because he's dumb.
Okay, there you go. There's Nick. Sorry, it's replaying there. My mouse got all screwed up. So just one aspect of that. That's taken on Legal Mindset, who we've talked about a little bit before, who I think is doing actually good work. He's just not simping for Nick. So the problem is if you're not simping for him. Now, what does this do? What did Nick say there? Did he refute the things that the other attorneys have broken down the situation? No. This is this kind of stuff that we've talked about with Israel and other things that the left does with the woke mindset, which is you call someone a Nazi. And when you're calling them a Nazi, now you don't have to actually engage in a conversation because Nazis are not worth, and this is the pejorative thing, Nazis are not worth having your time. Or you'd call them something else. Maybe you call him gay, okay? So since he's gay, since he's got one eye off to the boys' room and he tries to be a Chad, remember, this is all about perception. Now you don't have to actually take on the fact that Legal Mindset has said, you know what, I think you're in some danger here legally. This could be troublesome. You might want to take a deal or maybe shut up and don't be online. So once again, you disparage him, how he is as a person or whatnot. Now, Legal Mindset has come on here, and not here, but he's gone online and said, and you can see this if you look back. He goes, I just stopped doing shit with him because I didn't like his drinking, his lifestyle, and I didn't want to be associated. Okay. What has Nick said? I'm not living a multiple lifestyle. I'm not doing these things. And then he's getting caught with cucking and all these other things. So maybe it's him that has that problem. Now, look, I'm not a big fan of, and I am in my personal life, of derogatory statements about people, especially online. You can't help how you look, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. So when people like post, someone makes a comment and then they take their profile picture and they post it up and like, this you, and it's person's not so attractive. I'm not here for that. However, when ugly people or people that aren't great themselves do that, then you're like, oh, give me a break. This is pure hypocrisy. You can't use that. I mean, there's people that aren't attractive that I see that are friends with that do this, okay? And you're just like, okay. So once again, it stilts the conversation, so it's not really, it doesn't go forward. So that's not a great look there from Nick, because you're not, and now this is just one little clip, but that's fine. This is what we're doing. Okay, now I also want to go here to the following, which is Joe Neerman. He was recently, and I'm kind of catching up here and doing some of this stuff. He was recently on with Chrissy Mayer, and this was, I think, maybe taken out of context a little bit. But here's the problem with these guys, and maybe it would be best if they're friends, if they just shut up about this whole thing. But once again, this is kind of their livelihood, talking about this stuff. So then they continue to talk about it, but they are conflicted because Joe is friendly with Nick and he's gotten a little bit too support. Remember, he came out against me and about like, you don't give a shit about these kids. And I walked through his tweet and it was all I, me, I. And I like Joe, but you don't get to then, push this back. So let's just see what he said here about
complaining of being hungry and dirty. And it's like if their clothes aren't being changed in a number of days, well, that tells me they're not being bathed or washed, and it breaks my heart. So
right. Although, I mean, I'll tell you right now, when you talk about being bathed or being washed, you're a newborn. You're a mother of a newborn, right? 6-year-olds bathe themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's like you say, yeah.
Okay, I will say, as a father of 4, they can bathe themselves. Do they voluntarily go to bathe themselves? That's really the thing. Let's finish this off, but keep that concept going.
Just throw in a sponge and some soap.
Yeah, you're like, go yeah. By the time they're
and by the way, Hunter Biden or Joe Biden might disagree that they bathe themselves.
4 or 5 years old, they're bathing themselves. So as far as their failure to hygiene, I mean, yeah.
Is a 5-year-old really going to be like, sorry, Mom, I got to go shower, be right back? Like, I think most kids are going to let themselves be, like,
yes,
they're not going to rush to bathe themselves. They're going to embrace filth.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like he kind of turns himself around, but you've got to be a little more definitive about this. I'm sorry, teenage boys, okay? I want only one teenage boy anymore. He's clean, got a girlfriend, well, he did, RAP that relationship. But she didn't break up with him because, or I don't know who broke up, because of his cleanliness that I know of. He's clean outside, but his room's a mess. His bathroom's a mess. At some point, you're going to be hygiene and you're going to clean yourself. But there's many people out there, boys and girls, that unless you prod them constantly, they're not going to be doing these things. 4 and 6 year olds, I'm sorry. It's bath time. You go take your bath. Yes, I had kids that age as a single father taking care of them, and you're constantly telling them, okay, it's bath time. If I was in my room doing lines of coke off of, some chick, is my daughter and my son, are they just going to willingly go and get changed and do their own thing? Maybe if they're like adult, if you were going through this, at some point they're going to start doing this. Yes, so I get it, what he's kind of saying. But no, I'm sorry, even the teenage, he got, the oldest was like 16-year-old. This is mind-blowing to me that Joe Neerman, he took this kind of philosophy here about bathing. Now, as I said, Joe Biden, he would take the different thing. Yeah, teenage kids do need to be bathed with. I'm not telling Joe to get in the bathtub and scrub them and make sure their nether regions are done, but you have to sometimes turn the water on, put them in there. When they come out, their hair's not what you got. Soap it up. Put this shit in there. Okay. So let's see. We got some comments here. Magoo says, "Oh, burn sick." Burn Nick, nah, cope at all. Yeah, I get him. Yeah, exactly. 4099, I don't know what that, maybe it's spamming me. Yikes. P, nope. Rekieta told me I can blame the kids. Yeah. I have a 4-year-old. She loves bath time. Yes. Now, we have one-offs. She loves bath time. Does she tell you that she needs to bathe? If you don't put your child into, maybe she likes to eat too. Is she making her own meals? These are other things we need to think about, right? Does she make her own meals? Did you have to set clothes out for them? Do you have to do laundry so that their clothes are done? Is your 4-year-old doing their own laundry? Okay, so I understand. I was 6 once given the option, I would have probably never bathed. Yeah, and by the way, it's boys and girls might be different on this stuff as well. Josh Smith's kid said also the better devil's advocate argument is that kids will wear dirty clothes. I did all the time. Absolutely. You'll wear them. Now, we have to understand, let's go back here just a little bit. There's all of these things that need to be understood, but we have the police report where they told one of the daughters, hey, would you, do you need clothes? And she said, she emphasized, yeah, I've been wearing these for days. Why? Why is she saying I've been wearing these clothes for days unless it's a problem? Okay. Wait, it just said, little voice said, absolutely not. Okay, I don't know if it was that about your daughter. I think it was about my stuff talking about there. Washing machine was in the drug den, by the way. Oh God, that's fantastic. Okay, we're gonna play a few little clips here of Nick doing some car ride chit chat. I don't even know how interested I am in these because he does actually somewhat bother me. But since we're grifting a little bit, let's just take it all away, shall we? Okay, so here's Nick in the car talking about his legal case or being in. I think I have 2 clips here. Let's play it.
And I saw a lot of people earlier asking how Lady Raggets is. I mean, given the circumstances, better than expected. She's a strong lady. It's tough. Like, this shit is really unfun, obviously. Being under the government thumb is not enjoyable. It's not supposed to be. It's designed this way. It's designed to be stressful and strenuous. And that's how it is, right? But, you take it a day at a time, and some days are good, and some days are fucking garbage. And then some days are partly good and partly garbage. And then other days, your mood kind of swings back and forth by the minute. There's no predicting it. You get a phone call or a text message or an email from a lawyer, from the government or whatever, or even from a family member or friend, and it can be really uplifting. It can be heartbreaking, and it can be infuriating, and you never know which one it's going to be. How do I feel? Fine. first time I've said that in a while. No, I mean, again, given the circumstances, taking the opportunity to do some shit that I needed time to do, lots of that just being having time to, you know, redecorate the studio, work towards shifting my show schedule towards daytime a little bit. I'm still not 100% sure how that's gonna pan out. It'll be a growing pain that we do it. I look more rested. I am. You know, we were waiting for the end of the school year to hit, and the arrest was on Thursday. The end of the school year was just the next day.
Yeah, well, you screwed up then. By the way, a few things about that video. One, is there a more annoying person to watch in a fucking car like that? You got the race seats, the engines revving like that. Douche, that says douche every which way you can imagine it. Does he have kind of a mullet going on there in the back? Possibly. So not a fan of that. Maybe you guys are. Maybe you love the Mustang style car. Gross. Just not there for me, but that's what it is. So there's that, and then there's just there's just a lot of gross stuff about it. And by the way, I don't really want to be watching his show anymore, talking about revamping the studio and getting back in there. And it's like, man, you've got a lot of personal work to do. I mean, I don't think I would be doing, I don't even want to do this sometimes when I just have a stressful week. Right? But you know, he's back into it there. So here's really the one I want to talk about, and then we'll go on from here. Let's take a look here at some of these other ones. Always good to break laws while you're driving and while under investigation. Magoo says the body cam footage should be released in the next few weeks. That's the big deal, because if you look at some of the tweets he's talking about, and he's like, it's like you just said there, hey, you're under the government thumb. Granted. And I will reiterate this as much as possible, because Barnes brings these things up, and I do too, which is I'm not a fan. The drug charge, as a matter of fact, I don't like that there is that, okay? I don't like that there's a gun charge, okay? I'm not a fan of that either. My problem with all of it is, and we talked about this the initial time, is doing things around the kids or doing such egregious situations that your kids are in harm. This is the libertarian conundrum of all time, and I don't really have any problem with it. If the government's not there, maybe you've got a community that's involved, and then you're shaming even more. I think he may even be in worse situation if it's just a shaming community. That's my goal here. Shame, shame, shame. He's a piece of shit. And now due process, perfectly fine. We'll get the due process situation out. And if I'm completely wrong, if the body cam footage is showing it and there's nothing on his desk and a nightstand, and all of a sudden they're putting coke down there, and you can, they're framing him. Okay, fine. Or the gun or whatnot. Or the kids are completely clean. The house is completely clean, and maybe the cops is throwing shit out there. Okay, maybe I'm completely wrong about all this stuff, or the cops were and they're lying. That happens. We know all about that. It just seems somewhat unlikely about this. And this is the point of many of the things. We saw this thing down in Atlanta, in Fulton County, where young thug, going up for, I think, murder charges or whatnot. His attorney, and I should probably have the clip for it, but his attorney came to the court, and he had information that the judge was in what they call ex parte communication, which is separate. It's separate, or it's without. It's really what it is. It's without the other side's involvement, talking to the prosecution and the witness. The judge did without the defense attorney being involved. You don't do that, okay? There are ex parte communications as far as requests for order, emergency, but that is still due process comes out, and it's just one side's pleadings that get in there. They just review it that way. But the judge for the most part, the judges just aren't doing this kind of shit. And we saw this with the grounds guy and Darrell Brooks, which is that judge went over and above to try to accommodate him so that when the situation came about, if there's an appeal, it's not going to win on appeal, okay? Problems. You've seen this with Trump's lawyers not pushing things, not objecting in time, and those objections have to be on the record so that then later on, if there goes against you, you can push back against that. That's the very prominent part, and it's about being an attorney and doing things correctly. There's timelines and certain things you want to get done. So we have this problem here with, and I imagine they know who this is. And so I would imagine the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed for the warrant and whatnot, and it's just not what Nick says it is going to be. I'm not a fan, like I said, of a lot of these things, but when kids are in there, and By the way, this was my thing with Joe Neerman to begin with, and a lot of this, which is, and I just saw people are still commenting on that thread where I went after, not really went after Joe, I just made a comment like, yeah, what about the kids? Because they're all like, no, dad's okay. If we get dad okay, then the kids will be okay. And it's like, I'm sorry, you saw how concerned he is here, relatively, you're online. I would just be shutting this down, and I would be focusing everything I could on the family and getting them done rather than my reputation. Fuck your reputation if your kids are there or if you don't have your wife. So that would be my concern. And I've also been through this enough personally with my wife's ex and clients and whatnot, which is sometimes that person is just not redeemable, or they need to get their shit together and they haven't hit bottom to have that happen. In the meantime, yeah, let's concern ourselves about the kids, okay? They are the important part. They haven't had their lives completely ruined yet. They haven't been able to make those decisions to put the snort coke up their nose, and they can do it on their own. Okay. David Moore said it's $250 to be fine on the phone and drive where he lives. Yeah, good job. Now, technically, he was recording. I don't know if he was streaming that live, but we'll see. A druggy cope. Could be. He also streams himself recklessly driving doing streams. Genius. Yes, he does that. Okay. He's just suffering through a midlife crisis. Probably so. Magoo says all fathers of 5 have a Mustang GT 500. Andrew Solt's haircut, totally cool. They do not. I'm a father of. I'm a father of 4, so I don't have. By the way, this is kind of a thing. I've never been a fan of the Mustang itself. Now the Shelby, perhaps, okay, but it stems back to growing up. I had this friend, and he and his dad, nice people. Matter of fact, his dad was an engineering professor of mine, but they would have the old Mustangs, the 65 or whatever, 64. They had a fastback, and then had another one, and they just loved it. Too much. It was too much. And then you had some of that 80s Mustang, which was just deplorable. Okay, it was just horrible. And then I'm just not a fan of it. So now it's like Eminem's music, where I just take a stand to hate. And it's just simply to hate. So when I see, someone like that, and he's got like the loud, I don't know, glass packs or whatever, he's running around with the tailpipes, it's just not my big thing, okay? Fascist haircut after release from jail, full conversion to post-scandal conservative cut now. Yeah, right. Night of the wrong wives. Oh, that's funny. Gun charges are super gay. Okay, what else we got here? Fulton County legal system is bonkers. I stay out of Atlanta as much as possible. Good for you, Magoo. Lincoln says it's not hard at all to recognize that the laws are fake and gay while simultaneously recognizing that Nick and his wife are pieces of shit parents who are behaving reprehensibly. And by the way, completely fine, and you can nullify things as you want, but you have kids, there are laws in place, you're an attorney, you're advising on these all the time, even as a libertarian. You've got to understand real world and how do we cope with that in the real world to get through. You don't want the government coming. At least Randy Weaver, we'll talk about him. What was Randy Weaver doing? He was out in the middle of nowhere. He didn't want the government at all involved. They baited him, sawed-off shotgun or whatever it was, and then didn't send him the right court date. And in the end, he did win he lost his wife and kids, so that sucked, but that was the government coming after him. Even Waco's a little bit different story. But even then, you've got to understand when you're doing stuff and you're starting to be in the spotlight, it's got to be careful. The government could come after you. What did Schumer say? They could come after you 6 ways till Sunday. Okay. Fat Dave. Oh my God. I'm so glad my favorite gay lawyers covering my favorite criminal lawyers drama. This is what I said. Cole, if you're still in here, this is just you in a few years if you let your life continue this way. That's just all I'm saying. Okay, I'm kind of kidding. Let's go to I want to play this one because I think this is kind of shit that I hope I'll never be involved in. Now, look, who wears a 3-piece suit? I'm going to tell you right now. And once again, what did I say about making fun of people's looks and stuff? Only when they do it first, and then I'm going to recount. Now, Robert Barnes, not a good-looking guy. I mean, look at that. He can't grow any hair. He's got two-tone color on his face, and he wears a vest. Who wears a vest? Who wears a 3-piece suit? You know who does? All fat men who need a girdle. They actually wear the vest, and it's actually a girdle in place. So that's my thing. Okay, let's play this because this came out once again.
Well, we'll deal with it with legal mindset. If you come after me and libel me repeatedly, as well as flood the.
And by the way, there's no way Legal Mindset libeled him repeatedly. What he said was your legal analysis was wrong. Okay. or he didn't agree with it. He didn't agree with it. This is a supposed to be your big-time constitutional attorney talking about being libeled for someone not agreeing with his legal opinion. That's how brain crap Robert Barnes is. When someone said earlier, Robert Barnes, he's won big cases. Who are you? Who am I? I'm someone that understands that libel does not include differing opinions. Okay, let's keep going.
My chats and the people that are part of our community with what's known as toxic Twitter, which is what he was doing. Then maybe I'll take the time to ask and research why it is you suddenly left the state of Florida and went to Southeast Asia as a single man. And maybe when I do, I'll find that you chose the town in Thailand most infamous for one thing. You know what that thing is most infamous for? The town Legal Mindset chose to leave Florida to live in Thailand and to legally provide services to other, let's say, similarly situated individuals, is a town world famous for which documentaries have been made for child prostitution. That's where...
Look at Viva Fry. No comment, nothing here, because he's not he doesn't practice law anyway.
He chose to live. I wonder if that's a coincidence. What motivated that shit? But if these people are going to do this kind of thing, well, all right, all bets are off. I wouldn't recommend it personally, just as a matter of professional strategy.
Okay, so one, there's a few crazy things there, which is this seems to be defamation writ large, and matter of fact, it's de facto. There's certain things of defamation that you break through, like what is a person, and this is probably where Barnes is out there, if they're a public person or not, which Legal Mindset would be, but there are parts of defamation about, certain types of defamation, which are de facto defamatory, which is a lascivious behavior of a sexual nature, a disease type of thing. That's what he's saying. And by the way, here's what Robert Barnes is really saying. And by the way, you're moving someplace that there's been a documentary about, and so therefore you are a pedo. That's what he's indicating. He lives in Vegas. Vegas is known for prostitutes. Are we then saying he is a prostitute? Male prostitute? Maybe that's what he's saying. And you know what else, Robert, I'm not saying that. I'm making a comparison about your argument. And what else is he doing here? He's basically saying, you know what, if you're going to libel me, I'm going to libel you. That's not a defense for defamation. And by the way, I got to get to this here, right here. I want my lawyer to wear Pink Floyd t-shirts at work. Yeah, he does. I'm literally Tower Gangs, and this is what I'm wearing. I have no appointments today, so this is what I'm wearing to work today. What the fuck do you want from me? And by the way, you know who we can complain to? My HR department. You know who my HR department is? It's me. So we're not going to really. Okay, what else we got here? Also, gay hipsters wear three-piece suits. I know one of them. Yes, they do. Why is Fry so happy about this? Because he's not a smart guy. Okay. What he implied about Andrew was awful. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about bad lawyering. Okay, it's Robert Barnes you can't do this. It's unbelievable to me that he would do this. Now let's talk about Robert Barnes here a little bit and talk about his professional outcome. So I found this fascinating that I don't know if you knew this, but this was. He also, and someone did a tweet about it. Maybe I should actually go to the tweet first because I thought this was interesting. Then it made me do a little bit of a lookup on it. Let's see if I can find it here. Save bookmarks. Nick Rekieta shit, stuff about chickens. Joe Biden, all confused. Nick Rekieta, something about his nose. What else have we got here? Where is it? Here we go. This says Barnes falsely claimed representation in the Sandman cases, and they had to sue him to make him stop. Alan Jones got completely railroaded after he listened to Robert's advice. He was kicked off the Rittenhouse team that broke ethics and attacked a former client's representation. Now, we've talked about all those things, right? About the thing that just confuses the hell out of me. I only hire prostitutes that wear three-piece suits. Well, you're on your way to success, and me for a good retainer because likely hire. By the way, Dave Cole says, by the way, anal is on the table for Father's Day, or do you set up for a BJ and a nice steak? By the way, just throwing this out there, Cole. It really doesn't have to be a special holiday. I just said that to make you feel better about your low life that you can't get anything taken care of. Okay, so let's take a look here at Sandman. I've said this repeatedly, actually, about, there we go. No, what's going on here? I'm a producer that can't get this right. I've said this repeatedly. I still don't like, there we go. I've said this repeatedly about Robert Barnes with the Alex Jones. He gets sued in 2 different courts and they get a default judgment. That blows me away of how that could actually happen, but they didn't comply with discovery. And then Barnes goes on there and talks about how they did everything. And it's like, no. These are technical aspects. You don't get a judge that just gets, and by the way, I will say this once again, which is you get a default judgment. The court prefers, and it's in a lot of the case stuff, prefers to have litigated process and your day in court than to just get a default judgment. If you get a default judgment after you've replied because you're not doing something with discovery, you are doing something heinously wrong, and your attorneys should be sued for it. And that's just, maybe you can even apply for, but for my attorney's malpractice, I would have won this suit. There's things you can do with this. So you can definitely take it to court. And I don't know that that's the case with Alex Jones or if he's given up, but it sounds like, by the way, I tried to find a lot of these pleadings at the time with the Alex Jones and I couldn't get him. So if anyone wants to send me, so how the actual default entered in 2 different jurisdictions blows me away that happened. But anyway, let's read a little bit here about Robert Barnes. All right, hang on. Let me I wanted to increase this a little bit here. Okay, so a rift between lawyers representing students of the Center of Covington Catholic video controversy broke into the open this week with attorneys for high schooler Nick Sandman threatening legal action against a lawyer best known for representing conspiracy theory website InfoWars. Robert Barnes, who has become a personality on the right-wing internet thanks in large part to his legal work for InfoWars, how'd that go, was quick to offer help to Covington Catholic students after video of their interactions with a Native American drummer at the Lincoln Memorial 2019. We know that. Barnes's legal predictions about the case garnered him further fame on the right, with Trump supporters eager to see the students win big legal victories against their critics. Since then, Barnes has filed a lawsuit on behalf of Covington students against various public figures. But Barnes, whose Covington plaintiffs are all anonymous in the lawsuit, it's fine, they're young, doesn't represent Sandman, the MAGA hat-wearing student who had the central role in the footage of the Lincoln Memorial incident. Now Sandman's attorneys are threatening legal action against Barnes, saying he has falsely implying in his Twitter followers that he represents their client. Quote, we're taking issue with some of his statements that, in our view, suggest he isn't involved in our lawsuits on behalf of Nick Sandman, said Todd McMurtry, one of Sandman's attorneys. The long-simmering tensions between Barnes and Sandman camp, led by attorneys McMurtry and Lynn Wood, who once represented wrongfully accused Atlanta Olympics bomber suspect Richard Jewell. Now, there you go, Nick Rekieta. If you want to talk about someone getting railroaded by the government, that is a prime example. Richard Jewell, railroaded, ruined his life, basically, although there was a pretty cool movie made about it. Responding to a tweet, after Sandman for an undisclosed amount, responding to a tweet noting that author and former CNN commentator Reza Aslan had deleted a tweet saying Sandman had a punchable face, which was despicable stuff. Barnes tweeted that Aslan had likely just been served a lawsuit on behalf of the Covington boys. Apparently, Reza Aslan, this is a Barnes tweet, apparently Reza Aslan got served the suit I filed against him on behalf of Covington boys. Okay. But that irritated Sandman's camp, who saw it as Barnes, and by the way, Covington, you're talking about specifically the Aslan tweet about Nick Sandman, and then Barnes kind of piggybacks on that, trying to get his day of fame. That irritated Sandman's camp, who saw it as Barnes' latest attempt to suggest he's representing Sandman, the most publicly visible of the Covington students. Sandman himself shot back on Twitter, accusing Barnes of lying to the public. Would you like to explain why you're suing for me without my permission? Sandman tweeted. You've blocked my lawyers. By the way, Barnes is a notorious blocker. And I'm also a fan of blocking people for, my biggest concern is like getting reported. So I block people I think they're going to report shit. Other than that, I don't really too much care, but Barnes is a big blocker. And he blocked me. I feel proud about that. Would you like to explain to me why you're suing without my permission, Sandman? You blocked my lawyers on Twitter and now claim you're suing over the Reza Aslan tweet. Retract and stop lying to the public. Now, in Barnes' defense, he's suing Covington people. I don't know if he actually sued Aslan himself, but Nick's saying, hey, look, he was talking about me, and now you're suing. Wood followed up with Sandman's tweet, noting that he would prefer to not take legal action against Barnes, who had blocked him on Twitter. Please remind him that he cannot block a formal demand letter, a civil complaint, or an ethics complaint. Shit, Wood tweeted. I hope he finally gets the message. And there's the tweet. He talked. Lynn Wood. Nicholas Sandman has many legitimate defamation cases remaining for resolution through litigation. Dr. Murdy and I prefer to focus on these matters and not be forced to take legal action against another lawyer. But Robert E. Barnes crosses the line with his claims about Nicholas. Wood's co-counsel McMurtry joined in, tweeting that Sandman team was done putting up with Barnes. Yeah, we all are. Yet Barnes has tweeted that he doesn't represent Sandman, insists there's no issue with the Sandman team. My understanding is no issue exists with Sandman's lawyers, Barnes. Well, that's because you blocked him on Twitter. You're not seeing all this stuff, Barnes. Barnes told the Daily Beast, I have always made clear my clients are anonymous to protect them from being double doxed. Double doxed. Wow. Double dog dare you. And I do not represent Sandman, who has publicly identified himself. I am glad Aslan deleted the tweet, and the process server should be able to get him served soon. Okay. McMurtry, why are you suing Aslan if he's talking about Sandman, though? That's the problem here, right? You're going to sue someone for defamation, or I don't know what that tweet was. Was that really a defaming tweet? Libel? Or were you just BSing? This isn't the first time Barnes exchanged a Sandman case. It interferes with our claims. By tying his views to the case and his ideas to the case to Sandman, it interferes with our claims, Mitri told the Daily Beast. This isn't the first time Barnes has exchanged Twitter barbs with Sandman's legal team. While Wood and Barnes were initially friendly as the Covington controversy unfolded, within 2 months, Barnes was tweeting that Sandman, quote, needed new lawyers. Yeah, you're one to talk. Now I see why Alan Dershowitz said Sandman needed new lawyers. Hint, not a good idea to be a libel lawyer and misstate what others have said. Didn't we just walk through that with you in Legal Mindset? My request, Bezos makes a John Cleese style apology as captured in A Fish Called Wanda, is definitely not saying the Post has adequately apologized. And this was the tweet there. Okay, we already talked about that part. By the way, Fish Called Wanda, fine movie. John Cleese, yes, it's got another one of the gentlemen. Anyway, I don't remember all the people's names there. But there's a great line in there where the American John Klein, he comes up to him, he gets caught with the lady, and he's like, he's trying to leave the house, and he goes, and he's talking to the Brits, and he's like, if it wasn't for us, you Brits would be the oldest fucking province in the Russian Empire or something like that. An amused Aslan told the Daily Beast that no matter what Barnes said, he hasn't been served. In any case, followed him. Whatever fantasy the guy is living in has nothing to do with me, Aslan said. I've never heard of him. I've never been contacted by him. I've never been served any lawsuit. There you go. So let's see if we have any other comments here. Almost 69 viewers. Nice. Nice of them to hash it out on Twitter like professionals. Yeah. I'll just say this about the Lynn Wood stuff, which is they have a lawsuit. They don't want this disturbed. They don't want to have outside influence. They do want to have an influence necessarily to to get a settlement, which they did. We don't know the number, but the reports are it's pretty big. So whatever Robert Barnes said, evidently they had fine attorneys on this. But you don't want things to get muddied up, and you want to focus on this. So if other parties are coming in, and by the way, you don't want this guy on Twitter making comments, which is then going to people assume that he is attorney speaking for you. And if you don't push that down, you've got to protect your own case. And in doing so, you've got to basically say, hey, cease and desist. Stop fucking around. Stop trying to get your three-piece suit glory off of us. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, were there any other were there any other things? I don't know how to do this. Let me see if there was. I did have another. Let's react lastly to Dave Smith and Cuomo. I just wanted to talk about that debate real quick. Dave's been doing some other debates. I can't watch them all. Okay, I can't really care. Some of them I don't care about, and some of those issues are unfortunately cultural issues, which I feel strongly about in my own life, and I teach those to my kids, and I do try to present what I think is if they want to talk about, a legal mindset and this trad lifestyle. I don't have a trad lifestyle. It's just a lifestyle I prefer and what I think is the best for my kids, which is traditional. So there you go. But nothing in my life, I say this emphatically. My wife and I just had this conversation. There was a period of time between my divorce and my marriage with her and the divorce prior where I wasn't such a good guy, okay, as far as dating and whatnot. And I will just say that when my life now is such a relief, and it is so satisfying to have kids that you are able to project to, the way you live, how I treat my wife. And part of that is, and I give some advice to young people here, if you've got a spouse or a girlfriend, everything you do online, assume and act like that your girlfriend, boyfriend, whomever is able to read your stuff, your DMs. As an example, my wife is like, you're in some group chats with people. I'm like, read it, whatever you want. I don't really give a shit. Anything I say in there, I assume that she's going to read it. So, or if someone DMs me, same idea. So if you that's where I'm at in this life. Okay, I'm not a Nick. I'm not hiding anything. I don't have desires for that. And anything I do, it's with my wife specifically. And that does take work. It takes an effort to be able to make sure you're in that kind of lifestyle, or that you have that kind of confidence in your spouse that you're able to do that. And by the way, I'm just saying this. It's I don't know about a relief, but there is such a relief in your mindset and a calmness and a peace to be able to live that way. So some of these issues that are going on online, like Dave talking about libertarian stuff and church and religion and all that, I don't really give a shit about. Why? Because that's my own personal journey, and their arguments aren't going to make a difference to me. Might in government and as far as how that reaches, but it's, for the most part, it bores me to an extent. So it's just like kind of back that off. But the Cuomo one, I will say the Cuomo one is not that kind of a debate. And I sent it to a bunch of, when I was out in South Carolina with my family and whatnot, normies. By the way, one of my good friends, he was out there and he's like, so what'd you think of Trump going to the Libertarian Convention? And then my brother-in-law looking over me, he's like, yeah, what are you thinking about this? And, I think it was a good situation. I don't know how no one's going to talk about the Libertarian Convention if he's not there. And when he went there, then you had other people. So yeah, it got talking. And then you can talk about these kind of things. Or not, as in was my case where I was like, So Dave goes and has this thing with Cuomo. And I still don't think that I feel any differently about Patrick Bet-David. Okay, Patrick Bet-David, did he hire him? Well, there's Valuetainment puts out a thing where they're working with Cuomo and they kind of hired him. Then they have Cuomo comes out and he kind of has this, I don't know, mea culpa type of thing. And you're like, oh, he's kind of changing. And then they want to do a debate. And Dave goes on there and does a debate and destroys him. And it was cathartic. It was necessary and it was cathartic because no one, as Dave's talked about, no one has been able to pick these people off. And what my first worry was, it sounds stupid, but sometimes you want a fight. Nothing is worse than if Cuomo had come out there and said, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. Dave, you're right. Then Dave can't really push against him because he's a soft target and you have a little more sympathy for him. But Cuomo did the better thing. What did he do? He denied he ever did those things. And then they play the tape and he still denies it. And so it was wonderful because you got to bash his head in over and over and over. Dave did that for 3 hours straight. And I thought he built up. First 30 minutes was kind of what it was. And then it starts to build up and it just gets better and better and better. Now, does that change my opinion of Patrick Bet-David, which is Dave's like, look, Patrick's the man. If it wasn't for him, this never would have happened. Okay, but did Patrick Bet-David do 3D chess or 4D Hungry Hippo maybe? Which is he's going to hire him and then you're going to set him up and then you're going to have this debate and you're going to smash him down. No. He hired him as some sort of talent that he's going to bring to the network. Would any of you, and I said this to Clint in our Tower Gang thing because he's like, hey, Patrick Bet-David, I'm going there. And I'm like, You're a businessman. You make decisions. Your whole business is predicated on decisions you make that run your business. If you make bad decisions, it should impact you. Dave talked about this all the time as far as CNN and all these other places. They don't get, look, they make all these bad decisions. They force the COVID stuff and the narrative on us, and then nothing happens to them. Okay, but Patrick Bet-David hires this guy. He hired him as a journalist on his show after all this stuff had been done. So I understand how it enables this situation, but why do you praise Patrick Bet-David for his horrible abilities to assess talent? Vinny, Adam, himself, Cuomo. This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So I could still bash him for this, and it's not going to make any difference. But here you go. Okay, so let's finish this off, and then we can be done here. JC, thanks for joining up. That debate against Andrew Wilson was so tedious, I had to turn it off. Thank you. I'm not even going to turn it on. And by the way, in our Tower Gang chat, it's back and forth with Clint and Top and other people. They're just, and Cole, you're all discussing it, and I'm like, this isn't good content. You're supposed to put stuff in here that's content for this for the show. Love those guys though. The whole point of being human is trying to be better than you were the day before, and you are in your own benchmark. Absolutely. And you know what? This is where you are your own benchmark, but you need, I almost said it wrong. You need a judgy wife. No, I think my wife holds me accountable, and your kids. That's the thing that blew me away with the Nick Rekieta stuff, which is you have kids. I mentioned this before, when my kids were little, it was multiple years of I was single or not married, and my kids lived with me half the time, and their mom, we had a good relationship, and I was very specific about anybody I would, date girls, and sometimes it's your girlfriend, and sometimes I just didn't show them to my kids. And then you're like, that said something to me as well, like, okay, this is fun and whatnot, but I don't want because I did not want my kids to think that, look back in a few years and go, oh, dad just churns through these, or they churn through him, or whatever it is. And so that somewhat, I had a conflicted a bit on that, but you finally get your shit together, and you're like, I'm glad I didn't do this. I'm glad I didn't introduce that person. And my kids, in their mind, it doesn't know. And your dad may be a scumbag over here. But you know what? It still was this peer pressure to me to get my act together, right? I was going through some shit. I was Nick Rekieta without the wives. I didn't do the drugs either. I just like the company of some people. But my point on all this is I never did stuff that jeopardized my children. That was the main thing. Okay, I wasn't like canceling my kids, father time or parenting time to go and play and do other things. That just didn't happen. Okay, because it was very important, and I understood you have these kids. It's not their fault that you're splitting up. All kinds of aspects that go into that, and it does make you a better person. It should, at least. And then I have a wife, and that holds you accountable. You have friends. You have your community. All these things hold you accountable, and that is a very important part to get through. Okay, watching pundits debate is always a painful experience for me. I can only handle so much cringe. Absolutely. Josh says, don't trust P2B. He's a billionaire who came out of nowhere, probably a Fed. I think it was like a Ponzi scheme type of thing, pyramid. Isn't that the whole thing with The Office, where maybe we should just play that. We'll play that, and then we'll head out here. So I'm a little skeptical of Patrick Bet-David about where he came from. I think I told you guys about that with some of his stuff. Let me see. The Office pyramid scheme. There we go. Maybe we'll get struck for this, but I think it's pretty fantastic. So let's see if we can play this. I'm sorry, it's going through commercials. Okay, here we go. That's beautiful. Okay, guys, I've got to actually do some work. I'm leaving again like on Thursday. So don't forget to check out the Tower Gang pod. We are on Wednesdays. Also check out my older stuff with Nick Rekieta. I don't have any personal problems with Barnes, Nick, and all that. I have problems with kind of the way that they've gone about this, not taking ownership. At least that's Nick's own problem. But the Robert Barnes types are really deceitful, I think. And the more we look into him, the more we can kind of see that. Understand, always do your own questioning. Question me on as well. Once again, my specific stuff is the family law. I'm also an attorney, so I understand a lot of other issues out there. But the best thing that they do that you can understand, and this is what my law professors actually said, they go, going to law school isn't about memorizing. Now, it is. It's about memorizing so you can pass the bar. But the main focus, at least my law school did, was they said they want to teach you how to think like an attorney, okay? And what happened then is I became a libertarian out of it, which was basically questioning all sides, taking a look at your own side, taking a look at the other side. You've got to be able to do that all the time. And you can do it in your own lives. You can do it, especially online, okay? Robert Barnes says something, you're just like, oh, don't have the appeal to authority where it's just going to be, oh, it's only him, and now, you know, he's the expert. Maybe, but he can be wrong. People are wrong all the time. That's good. One other thing. Multi-level marketing, yes. Thanks, Tyler. You're welcome, Eddie. Great stream today. Too bad, more entertaining, but buddy Andy wasn't there. I saw Andy multiple times in Nashville. We saw Emma. I did not get to meet his fiance. She wasn't feeling so good, pregnancy and whatnot. But it was great to see Andy. We are virtually the same height. Should I be able to show a picture? Well, I'll get one later. I will post up. So Andy, it was great to meet him in person. Finally, thrill of my lifetime, a thrill of his lifetime. I'm sure he got to meet my wife, which was probably even better for both of us. So take care, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this show around as you will. We'll see you on Wednesday, and then I'll be out, and we'll probably be back the next week. And until then, love y'all. And JC, I'm going to hit the right outro this time.
Okay, I'm leaving now. Bye, guys.
But she's back. Chick-fil-A is completely overrated. It's not that good. I prefer Zaxby's. I prefer Popeyes.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
Should I vote for Dick Cheney on the Libertarian Party? Do I have an obligation to vote for Dick Cheney?
I would say so.
Yes.
Did it work for those people?
No, it never does. I mean, these people somehow delude themselves into thinking it might, but it might work for us.
That one dude was like, not a podcast. I can't find it anywhere. They don't have video.
Oh, yeah, Peter Janke. Yeah.
Yeah, I blocked him.
I'll do it. If he unblocks me, I'll...
He'll buy your shirt if you unblock him, Bert.
He's a wigger.
Yeah, nothing cooler than a 49-year-old wigger.
Like,
I just started live streaming. Cut me some slack. I'm pretty high tech for a boomer. But anyways,
boomer.